Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is part 2 in a 5-part series for members having to do with all the different aspects of BNI Connect. And today what we're going to be talking about is giving and tracking referrals online. So one thing that BNI Connect offers is the ability to track all of the details of your slips using BNI Connect. Now, traditionally in the chapter meetings, we've always turned this in on paper. And when we turn it in on paper, we give those to the chapter vice president or the membership coordinator, and they will go after the meeting and take all the statistics, how many referrals were passed and how many one-to-ones happened and how much was done in thank you for closed business, and go and enter that into basically a giant spreadsheet in the system. What we've been able to do in BNI Connect is to allow you to get more than just the statistics. So you can actually record all of the information about the activities that you're having throughout the week, and then you can also go back and look at that information later. So that's what we're going to be going into today, is the whole online slips module here in BNI Connect. Now, before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, this is a live webinar. So if you have any questions at all whatsoever, please do feel free to ask those questions ahead of time or as we're going through the material. All you need to do is to type those questions in, and I will see them pop up on my screen. I can answer those questions as we're going through, or if it's something that's totally and completely unrelated, we can tackle that afterwards. We're scheduled for approximately 30 minutes worth of content. So I do try to keep these webinars just to 30 minutes. That way, if you do have another appointment to get to, I'd like to be respectful of your time as well. That being said, this is what I do all day, every day. I answer questions about BNI Connect. So if you do have questions beyond the 30 minutes, I am always happy to stay on these calls until every single question has been answered. We are recording this webinar as well. You'll be able to find this webinar on the support site. The best way to get to the support site is to click on the little question mark that's in the upper right-hand corner. Once you click on this question mark, it will take you over to the support site. And here we have our list of upcoming webinars, of course. And after that, we have chapter training and documentation. And what you'll see here is a list of recorded webinars, and you can click on any of the months. They are just stored chronologically. So I've already started a new report here for June, and here's our webinar from yesterday. And today's webinar will be uploaded as soon as possible here. So you can share it with people in your chapter. You can go back and review it later. You can also, if you want to, go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. And here we have all of our video content. So we have things like educational moments and how-to videos and walkthroughs, and of course, all of these webinars as well, and even some special messages from Dr. Meisner. So please do give us a quick view up on the YouTube channel as well for some additional content. If you'd like to be notified when new things get uploaded, make sure that you subscribe as well. But let's go ahead and let's look at the online slips and how this all works. So the first thing you see when you do log into BNI Connect is this home screen, and we call this the My BNI Business page. And really, this is going to be a quick glimpse into your membership. So up here at the top, you will see the My BNI Business report, which shows you referrals and thank you for closed business. Essentially, what this is your personal PALMS report. So they take your statistics out of the PALMS and put them in here. Now, these are your statistics, both for the last 12 months and for your lifetime in BNI. And it should include all of the data, regardless of whether you've ever submitted an online slip or if you've always just used paper. One thing to keep in mind is that these statistics will only change once a week. After your meeting, your vice president still needs to go back and input the PALMS report into BNI Connect to make sure they take attendance and all of the other things. So only after that report has been submitted will these numbers change. In addition to that, you will see a number here that for most people that are just starting out or that were migrated over from one of the other systems, you will notice that there is a new number up here called revenue received to my business. And all of us start out with zero when we first start. And the reason for that is that number is only tracked by submitting the slips online. So when you submit thank you for closed business, that goes to the other person. You're thanking somebody else for generating money to your business. Traditionally in BNI, we don't track the number that you've received to your business. In BNI Connect, if you do, only if you put in those slips online through BNI Connect will we start tracking that number. Basically, we'll just track a cumulative number of all the slips that you've input in order to give you a number of revenue received to my business. And we'll track that for the last 12 months and for your lifetime. There's another great piece of information on this homepage, and that is the My Personal Participation Report. So this gives you all of your stats. If you'd like to see the individual weeks, you can go and look at the My Personal Participation Report. And this will give you the history week by week by week of your membership for the past 12 months. This is especially helpful for troubleshooting information. So if you find that maybe you have an absence on your record that you might not have thought should be there, or you think that there's an error in the number of one-to-ones or visitors or anything like that, this is the best place to look, is this Personal POMS report, in order to figure out exactly which week the error was. You can then approach your vice president and they can go back and correct this as necessary. Now, the bottom of the page is where we start talking about all of the slips that you can enter into the system. The first four give you the opportunity to submit slips. So I can submit thank you for closed business, referral slips, one-to-one slips, or CEU slips. One thing to keep in mind is that depending on what your language is, there might be different verbiage. For example, I'm using the US version of English. I know that in other countries, they may have translated these slightly differently. Might say enter thank you for closed business instead of submit, for example. But the functionality is the same. These four links allow you to submit a slip in the system. After that, you have the ability to track your referrals that you've received electronically, and then you can review all of the slips that you've entered over the years. You can also have a receive referrals report, and you can print your weekly slips. So what we're going to do is we're going to look through these and see how these all operate. So the first thing is, let's say that you do have a referral for somebody. So let's say that I have a referral for somebody in my chapter. Now the beauty of this is that I can enter this referral anytime I want to. I don't have to wait for my chapter meeting. One of the great things about this is that it really does help to shorten the referral time curve. So rather than waiting until the meeting to pass over a piece of paper, the member will get this referral right away. So if I have a referral for somebody, I'm going to go and I'm going to click on Submit a Referral Slip. I can then choose somebody from my chapter. So let's say I have a referral for Christy Armstrong. Christy Armstrong is the public accountant in my chapter. And let's see, this referral was to John Smith. A tier 1 referral would be if I'm referring myself to Christy. A tier 2 referral is if I'm referring anybody else to Christy. So I can let Christy know if I've given John her card or told John that she would be calling. I can then type in the address. The phone number. If I have it, the email address. And any comments I have about this referral. John is looking for a new accountant for his dog sitting company. I can now rate this referral on the referral scale, 1 being a cool referral and a 5 being a very hot referral. I'm going to call this one a 4. Now at the bottom, I have a couple of options. I can save and new, which will turn in this slip and immediately bring up a blank slip for me to enter another slip right away. Or I can just submit this one, or I can close out of this and discard the information. I'm going to go ahead and click Submit. So once I submit this, it will go into the queue. It'll go into the kind of virtual basket for this week's meeting. Now, I'm a member here in Rhode Island. We meet on Thursdays. So that slip will have been passed. It'll be ready for my meeting on Thursday. Now, the great part about this also is that Christy, my referral partner, just received an email saying, congratulations, you have a new referral. You know, for example, here's a referral that I received recently. So this referral came from Jason Souza. It was rated a 5 on the temperature scale. It gives me all of the contact information for Stephanie. One of the great things about this is that I'm usually receiving these on my phone, which means that I can just click on this phone number or click on this email address and get in touch with this referral right away. It then gives me the comments, and it gives me Jason's contact information. So if I need to follow up with Jason and get more information about this referral, I have Jason's contact information right there, and I can get in touch with him. Now, once I've submitted this electronic referral, you will notice that my referrals given has not jumped up by one up here. And again, that's because it hasn't been submitted yet at the chapter meeting. So after the chapter meeting, then these numbers will increase. However, I know that it's been submitted because I can go right to review my referral slips. And in here, I can see the history of referrals that I've passed. So for example, I can go back to, we first implemented this in 2012. So I can go all the way back to 2012 and look at any referrals that I have entered electronically. And here is the details of all of the referral slips. And if I scroll all the way down to the bottom here, I can see the one that I just entered for Christy Armstrong today, the 9th of June. And it has all of the details. And the thing that you'll notice here is that we do have some of them that are in draft mode, which means that the vice president has not yet submitted that report. Once the VP has submitted the report, it will be marked as completed. Now we have a great question from Roxanne. Roxanne says, it seems they draw for a door prize from the slips placed in the bag. If you submit online, do you also put in a paper? And the answer to that is yes. We do still want to be able to draw for the door prize. So you have a couple of options for that. At the chapter meeting, you can still fill out a regular referral slip. Your chapter should still maintain a quantity, a stock of paper referral slips. If you fill that out, my recommendation is that you just put an X through it. For vice presidents that might be on the call, one of the great things about the online system here is that all of this information is automatically entered into the PALMS report and waiting for verification. So passing in the slips in order to count them doesn't necessarily need to be done anymore. However, we still want to do things like win the door prize and show that excitement to the visitors. So again, one option is to just fill out a regular referral slip and just put an X through it, or in the comments line, write entered online. Now, if you don't want to do that, there's another option, and that is at the bottom here, there's print your weekly slips. And if you click on print your weekly slips, you can print all of your slips for that week. And right now I've only entered that one referral, but you can see that the referral slip comes up in approximately the same shape and size as a regular referral slip. So I can just take a pair of scissors, I could cut this out, and I can turn this in at the meeting as well. And again, it's no need for it to be in duplicate because Christy already has this information. This is just really used for that door prize. So does that answer your question, Roxanne? All right. Janice is saying that she lost audio. Is anybody else having a problem with the audio? All right. Cool. Janice asks, will it print more than one slip per page? Yes, it will. So it will print more than one slip. And what we'll do is we'll come back to this after we've done the other slips. Okay? All right. So the other slips that you can do is, so I've got a referral slip in now. If I've done a one-to-one with somebody, I can also submit a one-to-one slip. So again, I can choose somebody for my chapter. Let's say I did a one-to-one with Charlie Westcott. He's the social media guy in our chapter. The location, we met at Starbucks, and we talked about new methods for advertising on Facebook. I can put in the date that we met, say that we met yesterday, and we choose submit. Now, once I submit this, again, I'll get the credit for it. Both people in BNI Connect get credit for one-to-ones. I know this is something that's slightly different if you're fresh from Canada, New Zealand, Australia. I believe only one person by default would get credit for a one-to-one, but in BNI Connect, both people do get credit for it. And there is a one-to-one slips report. So this is really helpful because you can go through and see who you've been having one-to-ones with. And from here, also determine who you should be having one-to-ones with. Now, let's say that you make a mistake on a slip. So this Charles Westcott, I chose the wrong name from the list, and it was somebody else that I met with. If I need to change a slip, I can do so while they are still in draft mode. Once they're completed, they're permanent. But while it's still in draft mode, on this review report, you'll notice that there's an Edit Delete Slips button at the top. If I click on Edit Delete Slips, this will allow me to go in and edit or delete any of the slips that have been entered that are still in draft mode. So I can go and click on this one-to-one, for example, edit it, and choose a different person. Once I click submit, that will update my report as well. And that's true for referrals and for thank you for closed business and CEUs as well. And if you do change somebody on a referral, it is important to keep in mind that the new person will get a new notification about that referral. So it will re-trigger the referral notification. However, the person that originally got the referral, they won't be notified. So you do need to contact them yourself to let them know that that referral was an accident. All right, there's also thank you for closed business. So again, I can choose somebody for my chapter. I can thank them, let's say for $500 in repeat business. It was an outside referral. And I can even put the comments in for who I did the business with. So this was with Kate, Matt's cousin, for a new computer. Okay, so the nice thing about the comments is that they are 100% private to you and to you alone. So nobody else can see those comments. Your vice president can't see those comments. Your executive director can't see those comments. Dr. Meisner can't see those comments. Now, I have godlike access to BNI Connect. I cannot see those comments. They are 100% private to you. And again, I can submit this. And of course, I can go back to my thank you for closed business report. I can choose any date range. By default, it's going to give me the last 6 months. But again, I can go back even before the online slips were even thought about, and go back and review. So that way, if somebody comes to you and say, hey, by the way, did you ever submit that thank you for closed business for me from 2 months ago? You can go back and review and say, yep, you know what, Matt? I did submit that. It was for $500. I submitted that on September 5th, and John Smith had a virus on his computer, so I know it was the right one. The other great thing about this report is you can really start to see, you can sort this by thank you to, for example, and really start to see who your best referral sources are. And it might be surprising when you look at this to see exactly who it is that's giving you the most business. And finally, we have CEUs. For those of you that may be unfamiliar with CEUs, CEUs are chapter education units, and it's what we do to record really self-training that we've done, going to networking events, going to advanced training modules, reading SuccessNet, or attending webinars. Now, you'll notice that not everything is listed here. That is understood. We couldn't possibly list every single type of training that's on here. You'll realize that it's kind of roughly relates to the number of hours that you spent at one of these activities. You know, for example, most of the BNI CDs are about an hour, so that's 1 credit. Podcasts are about 12 minutes apiece, so 5 of them is about an hour. Leadership team training is 3 hours, et cetera, et cetera. So all you need to do is put in the quantity. So today, you guys might want to put yourself in for 1 credit for attending a BNI webinar, and click submit. And of course, there's the corresponding report for that as well. Now, the other thing that you'll be able to do is to track the referrals that you've received online. So I do have a report called the Received Referrals Report. And here I can review all of the referrals that people have passed me electronically. Now, keep in mind, if they passed you a paper slip, the details will not be entered here. The only way that the details will be here is if they entered a slip online in BNI Connect. So here I can see all the slips that people have given me over the years. And what we can do is we can also track things like, when did we contact them? What was their interest level? When did we give them a presentation? When did we have a follow-up? And what is that status now for this referral? So let's take a look. How can we do that? Well, we do that through the Track Your Referrals Received Online. So I'm going to choose a start date. Now, this is the test system here, so I haven't received a lot of referrals in this system. So let me go back a little while. And here's some referrals that I've received. I can see the status next to them. Now, if I'd like to update that, for example, this Yaguzan, I can edit it. And I can enter the details. You know, if somebody has given me additional information, I can fill those details in. I can say that this is now a closed job. When did I meet with them? Yeah, I met with them on April 22nd. And maybe I met with them again. And when did I follow up with them? I can also re-rate the temperature of this. And if I want to track thank you for closed business individually here, I can do that. Keep in mind that if you want to make sure that it goes into the POMS report, you do have to submit an actual slip for that separately. This information here does not impact the POMS report. So deleting a submitted referral or changing the details on it will not affect the POMS report in any way. Click submit, and now that information will be changed. You can also add your own tracking referrals here as well, and really put in any information you want. So let's say it's a referral that you received on paper, but you'd still like to track it electronically. You can add your own in here as well. Now, the nice thing about that status field is that you'll know if I go back and review my referrals given, so if I go back and review my referral slips that I've given, there is a field on here called tracking sheet status. So when Christy Armstrong, my referral partner, goes in and tracks this and updates this to closed or no sale or pending, I will see that in my report as well. So this is a good way that you and your referral partners can stay in touch with each other about a particular referral. And then again, as mentioned before, we talk about our meeting and what are we supposed to do at the meeting? We absolutely want to be celebrating all of this activity. So the referrals and testimonials part of the meeting should not change at all. We absolutely want that to continue exactly the way it did before. The difference is you may not need to necessarily turn in the slips for all the different activity. Again, because it is already input into the POMS report. So this is what the updated looks like now that I have a referral slip and a thank you for closed business and a one-to-one. The referral slip will be, again, approximately the same shape and size as a regular referral. Now, the rest of the information is just really in a list format. And again, that's so that you can be efficient when you're reading it off and announcing it at your chapter meeting. But since the actual information, the one-to-ones and the thank you for closed business, things like that, since that doesn't really need to be passed to anybody, that's just going to be in a list, whereas the referral slip is the full size. And that is the online slips in BNI Connect. Now, do we have any vice presidents that are on the call with us today? So for vice presidents that are on the call, okay, yep, it looks like we have a couple, so thank you. For the vice presidents, the other added benefit of this is that, again, when your chapter is submitting these online, if you can have your whole chapter submitting online through BNI Connect, all you'll have to do is take attendance at the meeting. So let's take a look at that real quick. Let me switch back over to the United States here. And my Rhode Island, and let me switch to my Wakefield chapter. All right, so if I was to go and enter a POMS report for this week's meeting, so I would go to Operations Chapter, and if I click on Meeting Management and enter POMS, I'll be presented with visitors first to approve, and then I can go ahead and put in the report. So now I'm putting in the report for this week's meeting, which is this Thursday. Even though the meeting hasn't happened yet, what I wanted to show you is that the members will start, once they start inputting slips, you'll be able to see here that the report is starting to be filled out. So here's my referral given and the referral received to Christy. Here's the one-to-one with Jack Bauer that I did, and here's the $500 and thank you for closed business to Matt Wall, and there's my one CEU. If I want to double check this information, I can click on the slips audit report, and we'll see the details of all of these slips that have already been input. And again, if your whole chapter is doing this, all you really have to do is go through, take attendance, and then submit that report, which will close out that report for the week. And that, my friends, brings us to the bottom of the hour. What I'd like to do is for anybody that does need to leave right away, I want to say thank you so much for being here. For those of you that have questions, please feel free. Start inputting your questions now, and I will answer every question as it comes up. couple of reminders that this is being recorded, so please do check the support site or the YouTube channel for the recording. And I would also absolutely love it if you gave us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. And up here we do things like webinar reminders and announcements and tips and tricks and all sorts of things up here on Facebook. So again, please do give us a like. All right, so we have a couple of questions. Janice says, if I enter one-to-one and the person I met with does that, will it put in 2 or just 1 for each of us? So with the one-to-ones, what will happen is if your one-to-one partner goes to put another one-to-one in with the same person at the same time, it will give them a warning. For example, even if I try to put in another one-to-one slip, I met with Charlie yesterday. So let me choose Charlie. And location doesn't matter. Topics don't matter. But if we have the same date and I go to submit this, oh, I had changed that one, didn't I? I did. Let me go ahead and resubmit this again. But if I submit another identical one-to-one, again, same person for the same day, it gives me a warning saying there's another one-to-one in the system that already matches this one. So only one person does need to put it. If they override that and say yes, then it will end up putting 2 in. There are legitimate times when you might meet with somebody twice in one day. All right, so hopefully that answers your question, Janice. Roxanne says, on the education, is it that you do 5 and then claim 1 hour? So yes, on the education units, if you do 5 podcasts, that's really, because the podcast, bnipodcast.com, they're anywhere between 10 and 12 minutes. So, 5 podcasts would be about an hour of podcast listening. So hopefully that helps, Roxanne. So this counts for half. For this one, we're rounding up to the full hour. We don't have half credits on this, so it is okay to round up. Again, it's really, this is for your own benefit, tracking CEUs. So my recommendation on this is to be honest with yourself. Right, so it's roughly tracking the time involved. All right, that was the last question I have listed there. Does anybody have any additional questions? Love to answer those questions now. While you're thinking of any final questions, a good referral for me is to please let people know about these webinars. Our very next webinar is going to be Thursday, so 2 days from now at the same time, so 3 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Pacific. We're going to be talking about connecting with other members. So we're going to show you how to use the search tool, how to look at the BNI Global Directory, how to find members in other countries, in other states, and just in other cities for different categories around the world. So that's what we're going to be talking about on Thursday, June 11th at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. So please do join us, or send this link out to the members in your chapter. Let them know about these as well. Roxanne asks, are drawings done on referrals only? Usually they're done for referrals and for visitors. So usually you would put a referral slip in to the basket for a visitor that you've brought. So yes. Traditionally, it's done just for referrals and visitors. All right, any additional questions? All right, I think that might be it. So thank you guys so much for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Happy connecting, everyone.